So I don't know where I got where this video is or who made the video. It's just so long ago, but it made me make peace with not finishing books. Um it's been something that I struggle with. I hate having to put like DNF on a book. I will literally let a book sit on like a hiatus shelf or something like, oh, I'll get back to it later. Fast forward 6 years, I still haven't gotten back to it. I basically have DNF'd it, but I would never label it or tell myself like I did not finish this book. Now, of course, there are some books that I did end up doing that with because I just simply did not like it or care about it. Or I'm not even like, if it's a book I don't hate enough to hate read, um, I, you know, I will DNF. But those books are very far and few in between. But this year, I just, my cat is taking a poop. But this year I've decided I'm gonna be more liberal with DNFing books. I am more okay with DNFing books I borrow from a library because of course it's free, but if it's a book that I buy, I have a worse time with trying to let it go. And I think part of it is, oh, I spent money on it. I should finish it because, it's such a waste if I don't. It's the same thing with like video games. If I end up not liking a video game after like what, 10 hours, if I spent like 30, 40 bucks on it, then I'm gonna feel bad. And I will force myself to finish it. And I've come to realize that the money that I spent, though it is a value and it is important, capitalism rules our society. Um, my time is still very important. My time is valuable. And I realized that the books that I've finished, at least in a month or in 2 weeks, are books that I am genuinely interested in. And a lot of the books that have been sitting on my shelf for so long are books that I am not interested in or I'm just like not in the mood for, and who knows when I am going to be in the mood for it. So that is what led to me DNFing Hellbent and Atlas Paradox. So these two books I talked about, I touched a little bit on my Dark Academia sucks. It's like a major reason why I didn't want to continue is because I realized that it's not really hitting the beats that I want in Dark Academia. It's kind of, there's a very shallow paint on it, and it's says kind of Dark Academia. It has like the vibe, the Ivy League vibe or the very elitism vibe, but it doesn't really touch any of it really. Um, but the first book of Nine House was much more in line with Dark Academia, but Hellbent was it's it's a lie, and I did not really care for it. It became like this crazy CW show. Um, which basically is also what Atlas Paradox turned into as well. But let me like delve deep into why I DNF these books and why it took me so long. So this was like in a very early video of mine. Um I talked about how I don't really like buying books anymore when I haven't borrowed it from the library first to kind of like vet it. Or if it comes at a high recommendation from a friend, I will still try to borrow the book first because I hate buying a book, reading it, and it ending up not liking it. It is one of the worst feelings in my opinion. I hate it, and I try not to do that unless it's like, oh, it's a book adaptation of something that I really like and the author is really good. For example, Coraline. I know Neil Gaiman is a very good author, and I was pretty sure that I was gonna like it. And I did end up really liking it. But I try not to buy books from authors even if I know them very well. But with Atlas 6, I read half of the first book. She self-published the first version, and then she republished it under an actual publishing imprint. So it included a lot more details and whatever else that you're not gonna get from the first book. So I bought that one just because I was like, oh, you know what? I really enjoyed at least like three-fourths of the first book, so um maybe I like, it is a good decision to purchase. And so I read it and I ended up like actually putting it on hold for so long. I don't know why, but I have this thing too with like rereading something I already read, and I like just to get to the good stuff, like the new stuff. I don't like doing that. It's the same with video games. Like they put out like remasters or remakes, and most of the earlier content is the same, and you have to play through so much just to get to like the new content, which is like why I still haven't finished Persona 5 Royal, because even though I love Akechi, my bae, I have to play through all of the first game again just to get to the new stuff. I hate it. I don't want to do that. So, it's why it's taking me so long to try to do it. But yeah, like that's why it took me so long to finish Atlas 6. When I finally did, I was like, "Oh, this is like really good." And then I bought the second book because I want to support a fellow fanfic to publishing girly. But then the second book just didn't click with me. And I was just so kind of like done with it. I didn't really care about the characters at all. I just realized like, they don't really have any flavor. The characters don't have any flavor. Despite the really pretty descriptions and whatever like mysteriousness they have, they're too mysterious. All of the characters are just way too many mysteries about them. And I don't think Olivia Blake, I don't know how to pronounce it, I don't think she does like a really good job, at least in that one. I haven't read her other books, but I'm down to try it. But at least in this one, it felt like they didn't really have much personality. Like it felt like they were just hitting all the checkbox for like, oh, this characteristic is they're moody, they're quiet, they are a little bit aggressive sometimes. Like I don't know, it just felt like they were just so flat and two-dimensional, and I didn't really care about them. I also did not care about the overarching plot. The overarching plot in Atlas Paradox, like it kind of started at Atlas 6 but not really, but in Atlas Paradox I could see where it was going, and I was like, really, that's the big bad, like that's what he's trying to do? I'm sick of those stories. So I was just like, whatever. I lent it to my friend. She moved to New York, but she took the books with her, and I told her, when you're finished, can you like please donate it to a public library? Because that's what I was going to do before she asked to borrow them. So I was like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. Take your time. Don't care if you do it in 5 years or 10 years. Just make sure you donate it to a public library when you're done. And then with Hellbent, yeah, same thing. I don't I think the first book was just the story was a lot tighter. Even though it was really predictable, it was still like a fun little thing. And the second book, it turns into more of a like Uncharted kind of thing. Like they're searching for clues. They're going into hell to get back the soul of Darlington. And I frankly don't really care about um that. So I like DNF'd it as well. I mean, again, I didn't buy that book, so I was like fine with it. And I realized like I kept trying to finish it like 3, 4 times. I picked it back up again and again. And then I was just like, I just don't care. I frankly do not care. Um and so this is what I mean, like DNFing books, I think you gave it a good old college try, and I think knowing that you can embrace it, be like, okay, I gave it a good try. I know why I don't like it. I don't feel like it anymore. And you can let it go out into the wild. And if later down the line you realize, hey, I am kind of itching for that book again, I'm in the mood. I want to read more of that like kind of vibe and atmosphere, then like you're free to go back to pick it up again. Like I don't think it's a shameful thing that you didn't finish it in the first setting or whatever, or if you put it off forever. Um like that's the thing with Dune. I DNF Dune as well. I'm gonna pick that up one day, but it is just not today. But I did DNF it. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting, but the writing isn't that good. So I think I just stick with the books at this point. I mean, sorry, the movies at this point, but yeah. But yeah, going back, just to conclude this whole entire video, I think people should be more open or more willing to DNF books. You don't need to finish every book that you open or you touch. Because most of us readers, and I know so many readers with such big TBR piles, whether that is already purchased or you just want to read it, like we're more inclined to finish a book when we're actually interested in it. I know it's like sounds so dumb, but um for example, I have like so many books that I already bought, but I keep borrowing books from the library because I'm more interested in kind of like finishing a series, like my Old Kingdom series by Garth Nix, or I'm more or like The Whispering Skull. I'm on book 2 of um Lockwood and Co., which is like, yeah, it's like juvenile fiction. I don't really care, but I like supernatural stuff, so I like reading that. And it's like I keep borrowing these books because I'm like I want to finish a story. I want to know what happens next. And if I don't if I don't read the next one, I'm gonna forget what happened in the previous one. Which is why I want to like read it now. But I do need to like read the books like actually do own. So I'm gonna implement a rule. So I'll borrow one book, but the next book I have to read like from my personal collection here. But yeah, DNF books, guys. Your time is precious. Yes, the money you spent is also important, but you're not getting any younger. And you should always do stuff that you enjoy. If you don't enjoy it, like don't finish it. It's not a homework assignment. You're not gonna get a grade for it. Most of the people in your life will never know if you stopped reading a book or if you told them, "Oh, I'm reading it," but the next time they ask about it, you're like, "Ah, I actually just couldn't finish it." At least you tried. I don't know. It's better than like saying, "I got it and I never opened it." Because why did you get it in the first place? Go to the library, guys. Anyway, thank you all for watching this video. I'm gonna throw some clickbaity title, something like "Stop finishing your books" or something like that. Okay, bye. Thank you.